Well, hello. If you need me to introduce myself at this point, it's probably too late for you. You are probably already in the path of early dementia. So let's see if this amounts to anything. Since my Freedom Flock stream got cut short today by YouTube again, they just took it down. I mean, it's still up there to watch. They just ended it. So I don't know what to say. Hey, there is Sarah Sanchez, one of the longest supporters of my work. She was there when she was there when I was in a different career field doing different things, and she was also there when I was in the midst of fighting for that career field behind the scenes, and nobody knew what I did for a living. Not a single person, unless I got to know them well enough to say, hey, this is what I do, and I never talk about it. I do not. Sarah will back me up on that too, because there are a ton of people who I did work with that had no idea that I worked for the sheriff's office. Homestead County. Almost 13 years. And they tossed that away over channel content like mine. Or not like mine. They tossed it away because of my content. I had people come up to me after the fact, once I made the announcement of what they were doing to me and the fact that I had moved on. They were like, you did what for how long? I'm like, yeah, sure did. Not once. Not any of my content prior to October 31st or November 1st, something like that. Not one video, not one post, not one thing was ever said about what kind of work I did or where I worked, ever. Not one. I was flawless. And I gave up a career that I'm glad I'm out of now. For my show, for my content, for my podcast, for MBRR Media. I gave up a very, very, very lucrative career for, as far as I'm concerned. I'm like, I wasn't making millions compared to a lot of people who have given up, but I gave up a career to stand on my principles. So if you're tuning in and you've never heard that story, that is available on a playlist. I think it's called My Fight. I can't remember now, but it's a playlist that goes through and I document the case that they were making against me and the fact that they were losing, and I give a lot of detail in that playlist. So if you have never watched it, I would strongly recommend that you do so. So, I was very. Trust me, I like I need tires for my little Elantra right now. I need tires for my vehicle, and I got a local guy who gave me a quote. Well, thank you, Mike, Minnesota Minnow. That's cool. Hope you will subscribe. A local guy gave me a quote for tires for my little Elantra, and when he gave me the quote, I'm like, oof, because I need tires. But like when I was working for the sheriff's office, needing tires, I would have just got the tires. Now, I got to figure out a way to get the tires. And I haven't been in that position for I haven't been in that position since before I worked for the sheriff's office, where I'm like literally at a point of like, what do I have to cut from my budget to be able to get tires so I can continue to get to work. So I understand when people talk about sacrifices for like principles and ethics, and well, you're gonna love my channel then if you don't trust cops, because I tell the truth about law enforcement, and I'll say good things when they're doing good things, and I say the bad things when they're doing bad things. So hello Paul, hello everybody actually. So oh hey, Patrick Bedford's here. He's local to me. TTK, you got abused by cops physically. You should send me an email, mbrr podcast@yahoo.com. Tell me your story, mbrr podcast@yahoo.com. mbrr podcast@yahoo.com. So for those of you that don't know me, I am TC. This is my show. Started it in April 25th. It was a Saturday, April 25th of 2020, in the midst of the beginning of the pandemic. And I started out doing man on the street interviews in front of the Minnesota governor's residence in St. Paul that morning, talking to people who were being impacted by being told that they weren't important enough to keep their businesses open, and that they weren't important enough to go to work, who were losing their homes, who were losing their businesses, and it grew from there. And like, I'm not massive. I've got a really good friend, the Wilburns. Her name's Georgie, but it's the Wilburns. If one of the mods could go and grab the Wilburns link and put it in here. Georgie is just surpassed. I think she just surpassed 500 subscribers early last week, and she's already up over 600. This gal, her channel is like seeing monumentous growth, and she talks about some really cool stuff, and she and I are going to be sitting down a week from Saturday to discuss the story of Sonia Massey, who was the woman in Illinois who was killed, unalived, deleted from life. Welcome from Switzerland. But we're going to be talking about what was done to Sonia Massey by a sheriff's deputy earlier this year, or not this year, mid 2024, and we're going to be reviewing that and talking about the duty of law enforcement in those situations. So yeah, check out the Wilburns. They are phenomenal. She does great work, and I'd love to see her grow. At the rate of growth that she's experiencing right now, Georgie is probably going to surpass, literally not surpass my growth. At the way she's growing now, she's probably going to hit 5,000 before I do. And that's phenomenal. I'm happy for her. She deserves it. She's a dedicated stay-at-home mom. She pulled her kids out of the government centers of indoctrination, and she's made the decision that she is taking control of her life. Her and her husband are going to take control of their lives and not be slaves to the system anymore. And that is impressive. But I'm at a place, to be honest with you, Paul's going to get mad at me here for even bringing this up, but I've been running a little bit of an experiment for the last month. And so for those of you that, don't know, I started a backyard chicken flock a couple of years ago now. In April it'll be 2 years. So I started a backyard chicken flock about 2 years ago, and I made it a year before my city even realized I had chickens, and they now have sent me officially 3 letters demanding that I jump through the hoops that the city has in place to have my chickens. And one of those things, and I've talked about this several times, but one of those things that they have in place is to have to get a permit to have chickens, I have to get written permission from my neighbors to then also fill out the permit application and pay the permit application fee to have the city then determine whether or not, even with my neighbor's permission, whether or not I can have chickens. And I decided that I'm not going to comply with that. Oh, hey, brother, I was in the Army too, 82nd Airborne Division. Jumped me out of some airplanes for a living. So welcome aboard. You are definitely going to fit in here. And while you're fitting in here, you should check out the other channel that I work with. I'm the co-host of Veteran Nation. Me and Mike, Skipper Arthur, I host with a Marine, so I deserve like a pay raise for that. Anybody who knows anything about the military, I definitely... the Wilburns are going live while I'm live, so you guys, all you Wilburns people, I'll see you later. I know you're going to head over there, so I totally appreciate that. Totally understand. But, so yeah, I decided I was going to get chickens, and when they started sending me the letters, I said, I'm not jumping through your hoops. I'm not jumping through your hoops to do this. I'm not going to go get permission from my neighbors to have my flock. And so I started to post short videos, shorts, and other things, calling the chickens my freedom flock. And about a month, well, it's actually closer to 3 months ago, I started streaming them on the weekends. I just would stream them for a while on Saturday and Sunday. And the other channel is Veteran Nation, VETERAN, excuse me, Veteran Nation. Yeah, she stream sniped me. She probably already has like 500 viewers. Yeah, so check out Veteran Nation. Georgie is live on Wilburns. But I noticed a trend while I was streaming the chickens on the weekends that I was getting more and more viewers. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do something else. So I invested in a camera to put in the chicken coop, and I on top of that, started streaming every day, 7 days a week. And what I've noticed is that my chicken streams get all the attention. And like, which is great because it's driving up my viewership, it's driving up my view hours, and it's driving up my actual view count as well. But it's made me scratch my head when I look around and I think about the time and the effort that I put into the content that I put out, because what a lot of you don't see is the behind the scenes stuff that I do for the channel, and some of that is pretty time intensive. I'm working on content creation without actually making a video pretty much 5 to 6 days a week. I'm digging into people's stories. They'll reach out to me and they're like, hey, I got a story to tell. And I'm like, that's cool, tell me about your story. Give me a timeline, give me the details. Do you have body cam footage? Do you have your own video? Do you have court documents? Do you have police reports? Do you have evidence of the things that you're saying about these situations? What documentation can you provide that I can use to tell your story, or that I can use, and everybody knows this, I'm going to ask hard questions. And so 5 to 6 days a week, I'm in conversations with people all day long. While I'm working, I'm working, but I happen to be fortunate enough in the work that I do now where I can be doing research, I can be listening to lectures, I can be listening to speeches, I can be listening to books. Because those of you who don't know me, I'm very, very much committed to Ludwig von Mises, and Rothbardian libertarianism. Some people would say I'm a right-of-center libertarian, which I'm fine with. I'm a paleo-libertarian with a smattering of paleo-conservative ideals. And so I'm constantly taking in information. So if I'm not working on research for a story, I'm still doing research for my content, because I'm always trying to learn. Always trying to learn. And so I spend a massive amount of time studying and learning, so that when I speak on a subject, whether it be the Constitution, the history of the United States, when I speak about a political figure from the past, I'm not just speaking, off the cuff. I'm speaking about things that I've studied and that I have compared to other things that I know, because I don't want to be putting out information just based off of my opinion. Now, I give my informed opinion on a lot of things, but it's never just, oh, well, here's what I think about this, and if you don't agree with me, you're wrong. And I'm willing to, not in a hostile way, go to the mat with somebody over a disagreement, because I think that hearty, healthy debate is good for us. It helps us to grow. And we've shied away from it because we've learned in our society over the last 15 to 20 years especially, that if somebody doesn't agree with you, they're your enemy immediately. Like, you have to have people who are lockstep with you for you to be comfortable having conversations with them. And that's just, frankly, folks, that's unhealthy as hell. It's just very unhealthy. And so, like, I have a channel moderator who doesn't like to talk politics, which is ironic. He tends to mod for me, especially on the chicken streams. sorry, 4:30 in the morning comes awful early. That's when I get up to work out. So, but he and I, even though he doesn't like to talk politics, we have a lot of things in common politically, but there are some things that we do not have in common politically. But I like him and I respect him. And I'm willing to have those people in my life, and I know a lot of you are as well, but as we look at society as a whole, a lot of people aren't willing to have people in their life, in their circle of friends, circle of influence, that disagree with them on a topic. You hear that vibrating? That's because I need tires, folks. I need to get them rotated until I can get new ones, but like, who wants to sit in an unheated garage and rotate tires when it's been butt-ass cold in my neck of the woods? But, so, I spend a massive amount of time reading and studying and researching because I want to be well informed on things, and I bring that to the table in the content that I put out, and I look around and I'm like, yeah, I've made it over to, over 4,100 subscribers. But I put a video like this out, and I'll be lucky if I get 100 views. And it's not an issue of I don't feel appreciated, like you guys need to show me more appreciation. It's an issue of why do I do what I do? Why am I investing the amount of time in what I'm doing if what I'm doing isn't like helping anyone? If what I'm doing isn't producing results, and so like Jugs and Nikki's here as well. Hello, Nikki. Hello, Jugs. Nikki said that people watch the chickens because they're relaxing. It's true, they are. They're incredibly relaxing, and they're also very entertaining. They're funny. They all have such personality. I forgot how much personality chickens have. From when my mom's parents had chickens, and I was raised around them. But Jugs is always, everybody comes on. Nikki affirms me and Jugs affirms me, and I don't want anybody to understand this as anything other than I really appreciate my regular viewers. I absolutely appreciate my regular viewers. I appreciate every view that I get. But get to this point, and this is just me being transparent, like you're like, why do I do this? If I've got 4,135 subscribers as of today, and I can have a chicken stream that gets 27,000 viewers in 13 hours, and all it is the freedom flock. But I put time into other content and I get 50 views. Is it worth continuing to do the other stuff when I could just put the chickens up? And then I just feel dirty for thinking that. And and I had this conversation with Skipper the other day. He and I were, talking back and forth, and he was doing a stream with Mr. Coop and Georgie from the Wilburns. I think it was last night. I don't remember when, but I'm just like, they cover some topics like what the hells and whatnot. That is just a really, like, it's crowd. It's base. It grows their base. It's crowd generating for them, and I love that that's working for them, but it's not where I'm at. And what I'm finding is that where I am at with the channel is that mostly people are just interested in the chickens. And I don't know, maybe that says something, right? That's exactly, how I feel. And like, so I've been like just kicking it around for the last week and a half, like with all of the auditing channels. And I love the auditing channels, don't get me wrong. I love what the auditing channels do, and I've gone and done some work with Flex Your Freedoms. I've had other auditors on to talk about what they do and why they do it, but I'm not purely an auditing channel. I do some auditing here and there. Mostly I do just public accountability stuff, city council meetings, school board meetings, other types of board meetings. But so like I'm not looking to do a purely auditing channel. So I want to be organic, and I want to be who I am. I want to talk about the things that are important to me, because I think, dare I say, the stuff that's important to me should be important to all of you. Not because it's important to me and therefore it's important to everyone else because I'm that valuable, because I know that I'm not. But these are the stuff that I've learned through my life politically has been, if I can say, eye-opening to me and revealing to me, because I spent so much time blinded by the system. I spent so much time blinded by the reality, the blazing reality, that you cannot see the corruption of the system until you step away from it and look at it from the perspective, hey, VA, until you look at it from the perspective of being outside of it. And when I mean outside of it, I mean stepping away from the binary of everything's either Democrat or Republican. Everything's either you're left or right. You are conservative or liberal. You're communist or you're capitalist. And like I'm neither communist or capitalist. I'm anarcho-capitalist. Like I'm as pure of capitalist as you can be. I'm more capitalist than capitalist. Because most people today who are capitalist aren't capitalist. They think they're capitalist because they've been told that the system that they work in, the economic world that they survive in and thrive in, is a capitalistic world, and it's not. It's mercantilism. A lot of people don't realize that. Like you do not live in the United States and work in the United States and live in a capitalistic society. Our economy is not capitalistic. Our society is not capitalistic. You hear people say, Democrats and Republicans, Trump, saving democracy. We've got to keep advancing democracy in the world. I'm over here going, no, stop advancing democracy in the world. That's the last thing we need, is because democracy is evil, masquerading as freedom. Democracy is not what we need. We need anarcho-capitalism. We need a completely volunteerist system. We need a completely individualistic society. Completely. which is exactly what our founders intended. Our founders weren't Republicans. Our founders weren't Democrats. Our founders weren't conservatives. Our founders weren't leftist. Our founders were what they refer to in Europe as classical liberals, which is libertarianism. That's what our founders were. Everything that the founders of the United States fought for, everything that the founders of the republic that exist on this continent, in this country, was built off of the libertarian ideals that were brought forth from John Locke, Samuel Rutherford, who studied it through the history of the world, who studied it through the scriptures, who studied it from people like Aristotle and Plato and Socrates. And they recognized in their experiences in the dealing with the British Empire that classical liberalism, that libertarianism, was the only way for a people to experience genuine liberty, genuine freedom, genuine pursuit of life and liberty. There had to be a vastly decentralized governance, and that people harkens back to the Declaration of Independence, government of the people, by the people, for the people. That's where that comes from. That harkening back to that Declaration of Independence is like, we have a right to self-governance. The entire conversation after the founding of the United States Republic, the entire conversation between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, it was not about the debate was never about having a strong centralized government. Pure federalism is an incredibly decentralized government. The Anti-Federalists were not for a strong centralized government. The Anti-Federalists at the time, the writings between the Federalists, the debating between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists was never about having a strong centralized government. The Anti-Federalists were debating with the Federalists, saying, look, the Constitution that you are endorsing, the Constitution that you are giving us, is going to fail us because it's not strong enough in restricting the power of the federal government. Like, let that sink in. The Federalists wanted a strongly decentralized federal government. They knew there was no way that this country was going to exist, that this republic was going to exist without some form of federal government. It had to have a unifying head in the presidency, in the executive branch, in the legislative branch, in the courts, in the judiciary. It had to have that figurehead, and with each one of them having a role. But they did not want it to be the predominant power in the country. They didn't. They wanted each state to be individual. Oh, thanks, Noah. Well, this is all extemporaneous and freeform, so have at it. You go ahead and do your thing on your channel. They wanted us to be self-governing to a point that we needed no government telling us how to live our lives. At all. That was what the founders wanted. Period. End of discussion. And that conversation between the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists was never about having a stronger central government. It was always about the Anti-Federalists warning the Federalists, what you're giving us in the Constitution is going to fail. And here we sit, 2025, with the strongest centralized government in the world. And if you don't think that's true, you compare the United States to China. You compare the United States to any other Marxist regime out there. And the United States has the central government, the federal government of the United States has more power than any other government in the world. We control NATO, we control the United Nations, we control trade in this world. We get to determine what countries can have an army, what countries can't. We get to control what armies in other countries can do. We pull the strings of militaries all over the world by funding them, by sending them our weapons, by sending them our armament. We work in conjunction with Israel to determine who Israel can bomb by giving them the bombs to bomb people. And yet we sit here and talk about how strong China is as a threat to the United States. That's what our rulers do. Oh, what we're dealing with is exactly what the Anti-Federalists warned us about. They 100% warned us that the Constitution was going to fail us. That's what they did. The Anti-Federalists warned us that the Constitution was going to fail and that we were going to become the monster that we have become in the world. And moreover, everything that they warned us about was 100% effectuated under Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln took to himself powers that he did not have, penalized and criminalized an entire group of people in the South. Like them or not, the southern states had a right to secession. Lied about what his reasoning was. Started the aggression against the southern states by blockading their ports, trying to starve them off, blocking their access to food and trade. Murdering over 500,000 of his fellow Americans in a bloody war that never needed to be fought, to end a practice that was on its way out, only for the power to run the lives of every single person. I tell people constantly, Abraham Lincoln in the American Civil War freed not one slave, and that's factually true. Not one slave was freed because of the American Civil War. Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freed no slaves. If you don't believe me, dig into it or ask me questions and I'll show you how. The Civil War fought between the North and the South in the 1860s did not succeed in freeing one person. All that happened with the Civil War was that every American was made a slave. And we have followed that path to slavery to today, where now we are enslaved to a two-party system that does not give a shit about you or me. And they will only do what they want, how they want, to the point where we now have the incoming president making jokes about annexing Greenland and annexing Canada, and his supporters are all saying, yeah, that's a good idea. Because they do not understand how the system works. They do not understand how the United States was designed to function. Because we were all sold into slavery by Abraham Lincoln. And so I am asking myself on a daily basis, why do you keep doing this? And honestly, when I do continue to do the things that I'm doing, it's for you guys. The ones that actually show up and watch. Because as long as there's a small thread of hope, then maybe we can change the course of this nation. Correct myself. We're not a nation, we're a country. We were never meant to be a nation. Nationalism has no place in the United States. We are a republic. We're made up of a broad and diverse group of individuals who can come together under the flag of individual liberty and individual ideals. And even in the places where we disagree, support the other because it's good for all of us. And until we can drive that point into the minds of other people around us, not by force, not by cajoling them, but by conversing with them and convincing them through a philosophical conversation. Until we can do that, then we have no business projecting our presence into the world anywhere else. We change what's happening by changing what's happening in our community, locally. That's how we make a difference. And that can be here, that can be Norway, it can be Finland, it can be Scotland. Think about what's going on locally, act on what's going on locally, and that's how we make an impact. Your agenda is not more important than the next man or woman's agenda. What's important is that your agenda not hurt someone else or strip someone else of their life and liberty. And until we break the two-party system, we have no business worrying about any other place in the world. We have to destroy the empire to keep the republic. So now I'm going to get ready to go eat some dinner. But I'm going to go feed the chickens first. So, always got to take care of the kids, right? But that's why I do what I do. So, my friends, until next time, fight for your liberty. It is yours. Fight for your freedom. It belongs to you. And Sic Semper Tyrannis.